Welcome back to the Go AI podcast. To our audience, we have a very special guest today. Would you mind introducing yourself, saying who you are and who you're with?
Thanks, Connor. Well, it's a delight to be here. My name is Ross Barnes. I work within AI, data and technology, and I am helping both marketing agencies and advertising agencies and large corporations define ways that they can embed AI safely and usefully in their businesses. And I'm doing that in one of two ways. One is it's the operationalization, which is I've got a platform called Bloom, which allows us to really safely deploy AI agents to make a real difference. But also on the other side, it's enablement. It's not just about the tech, it's about the education. It's about building a common language and culture around deployment of AI in order to make it a language that everyone can speak.
And how would you describe the intersection between these two efforts? Do you see a key relation between these two?
It's a great question, Connor. A great question. So before I started these products, I was the former global CTO at one of the largest advertising and media agencies globally, called the And Partnership, or TNP, part of WPP, and I was in charge of all of our enterprise product rollouts, Salesforce, Adobe, Google, and it was never the tech that failed. It was the organizational response to the tech. So you can't do one without the other. So I think it's really important, especially when a lot of large corporations have spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on AI licenses, internal models, that everybody is incentivized to use them in the right way and the same way so that AI can disseminate in the most effective way possible.
So, to get a little bit into the technical area here, one of the terms that stood out to me when I was looking into Bloom was the term cognitive infrastructure. Now, as I understand it, cognitive infrastructure relates to how you get essentially AI to replicate thinking by using layers in the technological stack of AI. Is this correct? Would you describe it as such?
Yes, I think we've got to be quite careful of the humanization of the AI process, because while it appears they are mimicking thinking, they are just pattern recognition. But the layers point is really important. Where AI is very good is around narrow, fixed use cases. Telling an AI clearly what it can do and what it can't do, and what it needs to pass on to other either people or to other agents. So what Bloom has got is it's a collection of narrow agents that mimic the, let's say, cognitive infrastructure of an organization, and allow those agents to act as members of your team and extensions of your team. So if you asked a copywriting agent to create a storyboard, it would refuse, but it would pass its copywriting or its brief onto the storyboarding agent who specializes in that, because you need reliability, you need consistent output. And the best way to do that is to be as narrow as possible and make these agents as specialist as possible. And that builds that layer of cognitive thinking.
Yeah, speaking of specialization in agents, that's one of the things that Anthropic recently saw with its ongoing Project Vind. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that. Yeah, where initially they just had a master agent kind of try to run the whole vending machine. Then second round, they're like, you know what, we might need to bring in specialized sub agents to help this one agent. And so, they had like a merch agent come in and sell merch, and it was a success. And so could you go a little more into the rules for business owners looking to implement AI agents? What advice would you give for specializing agents?
You need to give the agent the expertise it needs, and there are different levels of expertise or context. You need to give it context on what the agent's role is. You need to give it organizational context. So what does the agency or the corporation believe in? What are your values? What is your tone of voice? What can and can't you do? But then you also need to give it the expertise, and you need to make that expertise really focused and easily digestible by the agents. So it knows what it is allowed to do. And the most important part is those guardrails that tell it what it's not allowed to do, what it's not allowed to say, promise, deliver, and then letting it know where it is in the process. So we have an agent that's called the workflow intelligent agent, and when you create agents in our platform, what that agent will do, which is a bespoke agent that we give to our clients, it analyzes all the agents and builds all the potential workflows to allow the agents to know who they should be speaking to, whether that's firing an email to a human or passing on a request to another agent. I think one of the things that vanilla ChatGPTs do really well is they allow you to draft content very quickly. They allow you to integrate with platforms. But what they don't do very well is they validate you and they overreach. They do more than the original task that you've asked if you don't give them the instructions. And what we can't have in any industry is validation of bad ideas, overreach of promising delivery, and then also the more they try and do, the more likely they are to hallucinate, and we can't have errors. So that's why we keep them really tightly down, and that would be why Anthropic have done the same thing.
Speaking of mitigation of errors, one of the things that you did mention, I saw on your LinkedIn post announcing Bloom, you used the phrase human augmented. What does human augmented mean in the context of Bloom? Is this like a human in the loop sort of integration?
That's it, Connor. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's human in the loop at all times. We can't. I mean, it depends on the process, and it depends on what the output is. But I think when building these agents and workflows, and our platform will do it, but we'll also do it as well, is we will recommend interventions where the agent goes, okay, I know I might pass this over to this other agent now, but it needs to make sure it's correct, because otherwise the whole house of cards comes tumbling down. So human in the loop, also explicit consent to perform an action that goes outside of the platform. So if you're creating LinkedIn content, even if you say that's a great post, you still have to explicitly tell our platform that I want you to reach out now and perform that action, because otherwise, it could take that approval and immediately post for that particular narrow use case.
One of the things I wanted to get into was, we mentioned the LinkedIn platform making posts, connectability of AI agents to different, whether it's data sources or tools or platforms. That's kind of been a big thing over the past few years. I think it was the model context protocol that Anthropic put out a couple years ago that enabled the connection of AI agents and AI models to a bunch of different tools and sources. What are some innovative uses of connectables that you've been playing around with or just keyed in with?
As a technologist, I have always been about industrialization and usefulness and making stuff happen. So a question we often ask when building integrations into Bloom is this useful? Just because you could doesn't mean you should. I think some of the things that we've found really interesting is how some of the ad platforms are increasing the intensity of their, the walled gardens are increasing the height of their walls so that they kind of lock you into their agent stack, be it Meta or Gemini, or increasingly, and seeing clients adopt Copilot because of its incredible integration with the 365 suite. So it becomes again a further ecosystem game.
There's also the question of like data privacy. How much should you really be connecting to? What are your thoughts on, where you should cut off or just be more considerate of what you should connect an AI agent to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you are unsure that you should connect your agent to it, don't. The reason that we built Bloom is to stop all the shadow AI use, because if you are a large organization that doesn't have a clear AI enablement strategy or platform, then your data, your proprietary knowledge is going to be in some models in the wild. We pitched a large European automotive client a couple of weeks ago, and we showed that there was model launch information that the marketing team had not released to the general public. Confidential, accurate launch information in every single model. And the only way that could have happened is if someone in that marketing team, perhaps someone in that room, had put that data somewhere. So that was great for us because it says that's why you need to have clear policies and you need to have a platform strategy. But it is about making sure that not only are you doing the right thing, but you're ensuring that your organization is doing the right thing.
And when it comes to, obviously these AI agents, I mean, no matter what you connect it to, it might bring something in. That's kind of where the human in the loop matters. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't want to just make sure that the AI is pulling from anywhere and everywhere. And if it does have sensitive access to data that, you would rather not, an outsider know much about, what are some key ways to ensure, besides human in the loop, that the AI is just inherently using data responsibly?
Great question. By training it. Your agent needs to be trained on how it can use data. In fact, we have got a data guardian agent that sits, and if it is a data task for any of the agents, it will monitor and provide the guardrails. It is very, very good at ensuring that data that shouldn't be used isn't used, and the data that comes in is at least is flagged for when human review needs to take place. And that's a really important narrow use case for us, that any client that comes to work with us, that agent is baked in.
Monitorability. I mean, while we're on the topic, that's becoming an increasingly big, AI safety term, along with mechanistic interpretability. And more recently, I saw confessions. OpenAI was experimenting with having ChatGPT give confessions. They did like a test run of, like, you ask ChatGPT to do something, and then after the fact, it confesses whether it did it correctly or incorrectly. What are some AI safety initiatives, other ones beyond the monitoring, that you're thinking of for Bloom?
So before any agent goes out into the wild or into the platform, there is a long period of debugging, effectively chain of thought reasoning. So making our agents very clear on why they're doing what they're doing, why they did what they did, and why they would do what they do next. And if that doesn't meet the necessary muster, then the agent needs to be, there is further training to be done. And I think the confessions part is effectively that. We will do that within a couple of prompts like ChatGPT, but it's a very important thing for us to ensure that our agents are trained. And our agent builder, which is another agent which you can describe an agent, will also carry out that debugging by running several test use cases.
And to get from there into the actual applications of the AI, I mean, we're talking about marketing, AI in marketing, campaign planning. Is there anything before we go into it that you would like to tell our audience more about Bloom and marketing to give them a better picture of what exactly Bloom is bringing to the table for a marketing team?
Yeah, I think Bloom allows anybody in your team to be able to scale their output for either their clients or their brand. We have scaled very quickly into a production agency in the UK, and very good production agency, but we're having to turn down work, and now they don't have to anymore. Their employees are 3x more effective because of this scaffolding around them. The work is still human centric and still of the same high quality, but it means the potential for them to scale has improved massively, and without cutting a headcount.
One of the questions I did want to ask about just implementation of AI agents into the workflow of marketers is the question of adaptability of AI to, let's just say, human whimsy. Things change. A client sees something you've been working hard on, and it's suddenly like, oh, well, I don't like that color or that text. And, things can, in major ways or minor ways, kind of just shift in terms of, we were on this path, and now we've kind of diverted slightly, and everybody kind of needs to get on board with that. How do you make sure that the AI agents are adaptable to the,
Yeah.
changes that can come?
So we have a layer of context which is situational context, which is constantly being fed to the agents to inform them of any changes to client teams, any changes to whimsy is such a great word. Any changes that a client may have exhibited, and we sometimes transcribe meetings. We we place the appropriate emails in that situational training. Our agents don't really have opinions; they have procedures that they follow. So they are very adaptable to demanding clients, less knowledgeable clients, or team members at varying levels of expertise.
And as far as getting AI to take on human responsibilities, what have been the great successes of this so far?
The agent is is there to support a human, not to take away their responsibilities. They can certainly take away some of their output. What's the great quote? I thought AI would do the dishes and the dry cleaning, and I'd be able to write music and paint pictures. It's the other way around. That's why we're very clear that our platform, the AI is doing the dishes and painting the walls. We're having the great, pure, human thoughts. It takes away the industry, perhaps. Let's say that it takes away the human industry. That can sometimes be very frustrating.
What have been some of the challenges there, and just to keep with the analogy of doing the dishes, getting AI to do the dishes? I mean, what fine tuning has there been any fine tuning that you've found that you've had to do after implementation?
One of our hardest things, I think, for any AI platform or for any AI is, I'll go back to your term of whimsy. I think when you see well-trained agents doing things and performing tasks and generating output, the first question we ask is, oh, could it also do this? Or could it do this? And the answer is, well, yes, it could if we built it and trained it. But what that does is it doesn't allow us to focus on the thing that we were originally thinking of. There is always an idea with AI that it's got to do everything, or it could do everything. Whereas we're very much of the opinion that let's start narrow, but let's start useful. Too much of AI last year was innovation theatre, all demos. I'm afraid to say that the Bloom platform isn't that sexy. It does what it does, and that is to do the dishes, or yeah, the laundry. So when talking to potential clients, bringing them to that headspace can sometimes be quite difficult, to be frank.
And to unpack the analogy a little bit and get into the
Yeah.
reality within it, can you give some more specific examples of what doing the dishes is in a marketing context? What are some key tasks that you think that AI is really quite good at taking on and assisting humans within?
A very good narrow use case, which hopefully will sound um, quite exciting for if you're in a production agency. One of the most laborious parts of making an ad or making a piece of content is not in the making itself. It is not in the planning of that or the writing of the creative. It is in the pre-production. So what one of our pre-production agencies are very, very good at is it knows all the shoots that we've ever done. It knows all of the equipment that we use and the reason we use the equipment, and it knows the team and the makeup of the team. So when it's given, other agents will have done this work, by the way, when it's given a script and a storyboard, it can very clearly recommend a kit list, a timing plan, a shoot location, and a shoot team. And it can do that in a way that it's 80 to 90% complete. Someone who understands pre-production will have to look it over, but it just gets them to the point much quicker, and it's certainly not a task that anyone really enjoys doing. I mean, it's probably the closest to doing the dishes that I can think of. So it is finding those functional workflows which can be automated to allow someone to start their job so much more better equipped.
And as the technology continues to develop, and are there any more, like, let's just say, wish list applications that you have that Blue may not currently be doing, but you're like, I would like to have the platform working on this one day?
Because we want our agents to be accurate, we take quite a lot of time with onboarding. So we spend a lot of time understanding the agency or client that's going to use it, the things that keep them up at night, the agents and assistants we might want to build. We're generating a lot of data there. So what I want is an onboarding agent that kind of asks you 5 questions, and then it can say, based on the data that we've gathered, because this data doesn't exist anywhere yet, or not enough of it, it onboards you onto the platform, and it builds all those agents for you, so that it can just very quickly go into your business. That's probably the next one on the agenda.
Just very seamless. Just boom, getting right into there.
Yeah, exactly.
And as far as AI in marketing in general, what are your short-term and long-term projections for how AI is going to reshape marketing? I know that's a big
Yeah,
picture.
it's really, really interesting. And I think, so I come from one of the big holdcos, WPP, and I think the way that different holdcos and agency groups are approaching AI, it, it varies quite a lot, across different businesses. I I think that for in marketing and in agencies, developing a common language around artificial intelligence capabilities is going to be really important. The enablement training I mentioned earlier. What I do is I start very much from the basics of what AI is, what it can accomplish, and get very industrial very quickly, because I want to show impact, but I also don't want to show theatre. I want to say all of us have to start from the same place, so that when we build an agent or we build an application, we all understand how it works and the languages that we've used to build it. So that if I've got an agent that performs a task that you also do, I can deploy that agent to you. And because you know how our shared business build these agents and applications, you are able to very easily adapt it to your slightly different use case if we have the same job. So do we work on different clients? Do we work on different channels? But you will have all the tools there that mean that the agents that can be deployed through the business very, very quickly and understood by individuals. And that's why it's important to get quite industrial and raise the floor of the entire organization.
We've mentioned a few times, I want to keep getting bigger picture, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
The term like innovation theater and the theater. Is there anything that you're seeing in AI right now? I mean, this will be a two-pronged question that you think is overhyped, and another thing that you think is underhyped.
Interesting and provocative question, Connor. Overhyped. I think AI taking our jobs is overhyped. I think, no doubt it will happen and will have an impact, but I feel that, to the old adage that was a couple of years ago, AI is not going to take your job. People using AI is going to take your job. So I think I think we've got an horizon on that. I think underhyped is people don't know about this, and because it is the biggest disintermediation. Oh, I've got another answer actually. It's the biggest disintermediation a technological um, of a technological kind since like the Gutenberg printing press, and it's so available that, to our point about shadow AI, everybody's using it. They just don't know A, the capability, but B, the limitations of the way they're using it. So I think bringing everyone up to speed is probably the thing we need to hype the most. And my other example from a marketing point of view, this is a bigger change than to the world of marketing and content discovery than Yahoo, than the internet, than Google, than social networks, than app stores. AI will become the guardians of content discovery, without a doubt. And if you're a brand that relies on content discovery or relies on its brand being found online, if you're not thinking about how you show up in these models, then to be honest, you might already be too late. Because if you don't show up in the models, you will be invisible. And that is a real danger. And I advise clients on how they can use sophisticated, automated ways to ensure that their content appears in model and also as a citation, so that there is an exit path out of the platform that's being used.
Great answer. If there is a last, like, large or even just small message that you'd like to give to our audience, would you like to share it?
Successful deployment of artificial intelligence in organizations depends on two things: platform and technology strategy, which is really important, and we can help with that, but also enablement, shared language, and education. Because if you've spent 150,000 on an enterprise ChatGPT license and don't have a common way of using that in your organization, you're getting inconsistent results, dissatisfaction, and your data will be leaving your business because people will go to the platform that they're most comfortable with.
For our audience, where can they find you? How can they get in contact with you?
Find me on LinkedIn, Ross Barnes. You'll see me there, but also on Ascendancy.tech, which is our parent company. That's Ascendancy.tech, where you'll be able to see, request a demo for Bloom, and we can chat. But yeah, any reach outs, welcome to have a chat over a coffee or a Zoom.
Thank you so much for giving your time to the Go AI podcast. Great episode. Hope our guests enjoyed it. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Connor. Absolute pleasure.